Dave Getty seconded.
Thank you.
All right, so I will entertain a motion for the open board meeting minutes of July 19th, 2021.
I'll do it.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by Al, seconded by Dave Getty. Any discussion of the board meeting minutes? All in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. All right, treasurer's report. I am reading this for Barb, who's out at a funeral. So the balance sheet, which is prepared on an accrual basis as of July 31st, has assets of $1,658,000, $191.62, including roads, buildings, equipment, and all other POA assets. The monthly check report shows total expenditures of $44,660.72. That being said, before I move on to the check report, any questions on the balance sheet? A couple high dollar items on the check report outside of payroll. The lake treatment of 4,820. What I have seen and heard, the lake looks great, so they're doing a great job from what I hear. 8 camera repairs of just under 2,000. Taxes, lovely taxes. And that's really the main things. Workers' comp insurance. Any question on the check report? I will make a motion to approve the treasurer's report and presentation of bills. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Motion made by me, Deb, seconded by Dave Getty. Any discussion? All in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
Aye. Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Correspondence report.
Do you want me to read that?
Well, you're breaking up a little bit. You want me to read it for you?
Do you want me? Would you please?
Sure.
Yes.
All right. So on the correspondence received, we've received a thank you letter for the yard sale donation from Hillsborough Pantry, or Food Pantry, which thanks to everybody that participated in that, both as a seller and organizer. There was a resume for the board of directors for this coming year by Denny Schwantner. Correspondence sent to the Hillsborough Food Pantry for the donation of $393 from the yard sale profits, and a past due assessment notices sent to numerous homeowners and property owners, both on, I guess, I don't know if there was a reminder sent about the special assessment, but I do have a healthy list of all of those notices. And no general correspondence. All right, that was the correspondence report. Standing committee reports, administration and legal. So I will start with administration. Pavilion rentals, I noticed there was a lot of camping going on this summer, so that's been pretty busy. Day passes. New residents and property owners, a lot of ACC projects and rules violations going on and being updated. Boundary line adjustments, billing prorated assessments on the new Jefferson County property sold. Plenty of 2021 assessments coming in. Plenty of foot traffic, purchasing stickers and paying assessments. I witnessed that myself on a Saturday, and sent out 433 second notices of past due assessments. That's a chunk of money, folks. As far as the legal goes, I don't know if I mentioned it last month, but the one lawsuit against the board, POA, the country club, Mr. Tucker, has been dropped. If I did mention, if I did, I apologize for repetition.
Which one you're talking about?
The, well,
First two.
yeah,
Only one is dropped, the other one's not.
the one that was naming us individually has been
Yes.
dropped. The
First.
ongoing lawsuit since 2015 has an order. It was appealed. The last word I seen was their attorney requested the correspondence of the entire sitting of that case. So that is in their hand. I don't know if they have it yet, but that is in their hands for review for the appeal. Outside of that, I don't think there's anything else.
Is that trans?
Transcripts, yes.
Yeah, I don't know if how they'll do it, if it'll be paper, if it'll be audio, if it'll be a mixture, but they did request that, and I assume they're gathering that and sending that to the new attorney that they have representing them. That's all I have. Architectural control.
Okay, well, we still have lots of projects going on. There's a lot of small projects going on. This is like driveways, decks, and retaining walls, things like that. There was discussed the possible, let's see, there was a couple of inspectors that brought it to the Architecture Control Committee's attention that there was some gravel driveways on empty lots with no trespassing signs, boat trailers, roads and gates, and he's filling out complaint forms. We also have a lot of complaints with that, and we had another suggestion that we put in the fall newsletter to quote the covenants, and that storing things on vacant lots is prohibited under the covenants. So that's probably going to be note put out and reminding people in the fall newsletter. But other than that, we've just been getting the refunds and many projects going on in the subdivision.
Do you know when the next meeting is?
It will be the first Tuesday of the month.
Okay.
So I'm not sure what the date is, but it'll be the first Tuesday in September unless it falls on something that I'm not aware of.
All right, communications and events. I will read this for Deb. Annual newsletter was mailed on July 29th. The Raintree Roundup e-newsletter will be published at the end of August. We now currently have 468 email subscribers. So if you know anybody that's not getting the word, point them to the website, and that is the fastest and quickest way to get information. Website has over a dozen lots listed for those interested in acquiring Raintree property, including neighboring lots wishing to adjoin property. Take a look at the spreadsheet on the first page at the bottom. Derek is going to work with Barb or Deb to get access to that and delete my house off of there that is not for sale. That was a test. Ballot items recording scheduled with Board and Derek, so we are going to do video ballot items. There are two, so we will schedule that with Derek to do a video ballot item and explain it in detail and kind of do I don't know, since there's only two this year, Deb, we might maybe do a question and answer within the video, so it kind of sheds
Yeah,
some.
we're talking about that thing, exact thing.
Right. Then we also have meet the candidates. We have 4 applicants for 4 positions. We need to discuss whether we need a meet the candidates recording. 2 of them are in this room, myself and Dave. Deb is on Zoom, who's been on the board for several years. And Denny Schwantner also submitted his resume, who's been on the board previously. So probably don't hurt for people that are new. So I say we go ahead and do it. Just got to coordinate that with Derek. Nothing going on in events. There is interest in a Halloween event, so we will be following up with that and seeing if we get some energy towards a Halloween event for the POA. That was communication and events. Finance, back to me. This is from Barbara, but I emphasize this on her behalf. This is one final plea before the election next month. There's a ballot item calling for a badly needed and long overdue assessment increase. The proposal is for a stepped up increases of 5% for 5 years and a cost of living not to exceed 2% after that. The average cost of living increase over the past 12 years was 1.3%. On an assessment of 365, that translates to $4.75 per year. So don't let the cost of living increase scare you. $4.75 over a year is 40 cents a month. Without cost of living increases, expenses continue to increase, and eventually you find yourself where we are now, trying to maintain a neighborhood this size on a shoestring budget. Please give this your consideration in the interest of maintaining your property values and standard of living. I will add to that I know the assessment is a sensitive topic for several reasons, but if there would have been a COLA attached to the original 1979 covenants, we wouldn't need to be asking for an increase now or ever in previously. I do believe that this passes with the COLA attached to it, it will prevent from ever needing another assessment increase because it'll maintain with the cost of living with, other than a tragic, the dam fails or a tornado rolls through here or something like that. The thing I want to clear up about a cost of living that I've seen out on social media a little bit is the cost of living increase is based off of the Social Security Administration or CPI, or I forget who is actually, what was that?
St. Louis.
St. Louis.
It's not the St. Louis inflation measurement, so it's a local measurement.
Right, so it's not like we're
It should be
being adjusted against something out of New York or nationally. What I would like to say about that is if the cost of living is 1.3%, it's actually what we would raise it. If it's 2.3%, we only could raise it 2% based on what we have in the covenants on this ballot item. So I've seen people saying, oh, it'll be 4 and 5%. Well, we can't raise it that much. Granted, that doesn't keep us with the cost of living, but we hope that 2% on a 4 or 5% increase will help stabilize this subdivision. I also mentioned in a post over the weekend that it is up to the board's discretion if people had brought this up too about strategic financial planning. If the money is plentiful and the strategic planning is satisfied, the board can make a decision not to add the COLA that year. That is something that is in the power of the board to say, hey, we don't need the COLA, especially with a nonprofit. We can't make a profit. So either we got to spend it on infrastructure or something within. If we don't need the 2%, then we can postpone it for a year and then just wait for the next year to happen and see how things go. But, it's every year is a different year as far as finances go. And we could easily spend probably close to $2 million a year on roads for the next 10 years and probably barely be caught at that point. So I can't stress enough how much an assessment increase is needed. I get it, there's legal fees, I get it, there's settlement agreements, but at the end of the day, we need roads, we need buildings, we need security, we need internet, we need lots of things around here. So that is the finance report. Golf carts.
Let's see, as of the 14th, we have registered 252 golf carts. The new golf carts continue to come into Raintree with new property owners as well as current property owners are upgrading to new to them or to new golf carts. So the numbers are up significantly, and I know that the office has greatly appreciated me spearheading that rather than them dealing with 252 golf carts. It was too much. So that's really it for the golf carts. I was excited when we did 250. I don't know why, but I was.
I know at one meeting you had said there was a couple that were registered from last year or had stickers. I yet? Is that still the case?
There's 3 families, and theirs are still sitting there.
Okay. All right, lakes and beaches.
Lakes and beaches. As of the 14th, there are 528 registered boats. 25 of the jet skis are registered. I will remind everyone that the state law as well as Raintree rules state that once it is dusk, once the sun has started to set, I'm not talking, it does not need to be dark, people. When the sun has begun to set, that's when you need to have your navigational lights on. If your navigational lights are on, you should not be creating a wake. That means there should be no wave coming from behind your boat. You should be at 5 miles an hour or less at an idle speed. I'm talking to you people. Got to stop. The craziness out there at night has got to stop.
There's full wakes at night.
It's crazy out there. It's got to stop. You cannot be cussing at property owners that are yelling at you to stop skiing at 10:30 at night. But there's nothing I can do about it from the shoreline. I want to, but it's up to you. I just need all of us to be good neighbors. That's all I can ask. Big Saturday food truck, Roxy's. Big hit. This woman is a firecracker. She is not going to be here this upcoming Saturday. She will be back the following Saturday. And I did have several people come to speak to me personally. They wanted me to ask to remind everyone to be courteous while you're out on the water. There are fishermen wanted me to remind everyone that when they are fishing, their boat is typically 20, 25 feet from the shore. They're casting to the shore. When they're casting, they are having the sunset cruisers come in between them and the shoreline. If the sunset cruisers could look at the fishermen and maybe go around the fishermen. But then I also have to have a reminder that the sunset cruisers have asked me to remind everyone that while they're cruising, and they're going very slow, and they usually ride the shoreline pretty closely, but when a faster boat comes by them, it creates a wave, and a lot of them are pontoon boats, and it will roll them towards the seawalls or towards the shoreline, and they've been concerned about how close boats are coming to them while they're doing their sunset cruises. As well as kayakers and fishermen, I need the kayakers to be aware in the morning the fishermen are casting, and as much as the kayakers need to be safe and be close to the shoreline, just be cognizant that the fact that the fishermen are casting. So if you see them up on their pedestal or you see them up on the deck of their boat or with their trolling motor, just be aware that that's what they're doing. So other than asking everyone to play nice, that's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dave?
Yes. Go ahead.
While we're on the lakes, I'm sorry, I did have something I wanted to pass on that I did hear from a property owner down at the beach, to pass on the information. A couple of weeks ago, there was one of the food trucks had dumped one of theirs beside the parking area. Just wanted to pass that on, that we could say something to our food trucks about their disposing of their oils or trash or anything like that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
All right, maintenance department. Obviously, we have had summer grass cutting and shrub trimming, busy with campground, pavilion rentals, large amounts of traffic at the beach. They handled all the work orders, performed routine maintenance and repairs on motors and equipment, and they asked that everybody reduce the amount of loose trash on our roadsides. I know when I participated in the HOA cleanup day, I had more shot bottles than I could fill a bag with. So, everybody kind of, if you see a piece of trash and you're not headed out and pick it up and throw it in the trash can if you don't mind. All right, roads report from Barb. On August 5th, they had a roads meeting. We have 6 volunteers who have accepted territories to inspect roads for repairs and turn in a report. We will use that info to prioritize repairs and put it out for bids. Thanks to all who stepped up to help. We are hopeful that this approach will help us get a complete picture of what work needs to be prioritized. With a limited budget, we only will be able to address the most severe damage. Our roads budget this year, without the EPA reimbursements that we have been getting for 5 years, is about $220,000. To give you an idea of how far that goes, a stretch of street approximately 4,450 feet, or 7/8 of a mile, would run about $210,000. We have nearly 40 miles of streets in here, so road repairs will be limited to the worst cases only, unfortunately. So 200,000 gets you about a mile, and the budget is 220 this year. Rules.
Okay, there was a couple things that we have to bring up under new business. One I forgot to mention under ACC that'll come up under new business. We have to request a variance for the property. Also, we have made a couple of, the committee has made a couple of suggestions about rules and motions that we have to make under new business as well regarding motorized watercrafts. We also have how long all rules violations will have a rolling 12-month period from the date of the original offense before the violation expires. All subsequent violations within the same 12-month period will be considered additional offenses, resulting in additional censures of time. I meant to mention the non-motorized watercraft registration. Right now it's free, but it's costing us money for the sticker and the time in the office. So it was requested that it go up to $10, just a one-time fee for non-motorized boat stickers. That will be a motion that we will make. What's the other one? Also, we wanted to clean up the unauthorized parking violations. It's $25 in some places, it's $50 in other places, and we just wanted to streamline it, and so the committee suggested that we raise those to $100, $200, $300, with 15 days to correct, and on the 16th day, the $50 a day will go up, so it sits there. If you got a car parked in your lawn, we're gonna call you and try to get it removed, but if it's not, you'll get a letter and then you'll have to get it removed. So, but those are motions that will be made under new business. And I think that's all I've done this one, Tammy. I did. I didn't use it. Oh. If there's any questions, I discuss under new business.
Thanks, Dave. A lot of information in there.
Yeah, good to check that up.
No need to ask. Chris, security.
Okay, I don't know how well you'll be able to hear me on there, but, first, as everybody is aware of, or should be aware of, we recently had to let our beach security person go. We're currently looking for a replacement. We will have volunteers from the board patrolling the beach and boat launch until we have a replacement. Second, currently researching license plate readers, camera upgrades, so that we can capture the actual text on a license plate and be able to do lookups for that and be able to pass that information on to police when we have people that crash the gate and when we're trying to recoup our costs for gate damage. So that research is still going on. And then last, the back exit gate has had an intermittent short or open, causing it to remain open. And this is due to a short in the sensor wire buried in the ground. We contacted the gate company and looking to get that repaired. I thought they had it fixed last week, but they still haven't fixed it. So I called
right, thank you. All right, that concludes the committee report, so we'll get into unfinished and new business. Is there any unfinished business? None. New business, possible purchase of a different boat for Lake Patrol.
Al and I have looked at a 2005 20-foot Bennington pontoon boat. It has a 2005 Mercury outboard 90 horsepower two-stroke on it. For the combination, plus it has a snap-on canvas cover. They are asking $5,000. We've had it inspected by a mechanic. He has given it the once over twice. Everything on it is wonderfully kept. It operates beautifully. It starts right up. The boat itself is in wonderful condition. The motor, the lower casing, everything is wonderfully operating. He did not see any red flags as far as purchasing it. It is available immediately, as well as the current owners have said they will let us continue to use their boat slip and their lift until next Memorial Day or next, that time.
July 4th, somewhere.
Yeah, around in there. And it's a boat that's been on the lake and been well maintained. And is there anything else we should add?
I think as far as the usage of it, whenever Tom and the maintenance crew has to do work on the lake, in the past, they've had to get a volunteer to donate their pontoon boat. So far, no damage, to my knowledge, has been done to private pontoon boats. But by the POA owning the pontoon boat, we would have our own boat to do the work. And Tom has been is agreeable to that also. He's in favor of purchasing this.
And the mechanic did look at our current boat, the SS Raintree, and he is in agreement that we should
SS Raintree.
we should just, if anybody will take it, we should just get rid of it. The motor needs more work than it's worth. The trailer is the most valuable thing, and we're asking that we keep that for Tom to be able to retrofit or do something constructive, so maintenance to be able to have that trailer for that boat. But we do have a couple options as far as donating the SS Raintree, so we can get maybe some tax write-off or something for it. So I'm gonna work with Barb in the account to see how he would like us to handle that. The boat we're looking at, I'll say the Missouri, how everybody here knows how that whole property tax thing works. That's still new to me. It'll be about the same.
On the personal property.
Yeah, that personal property tax, I'm so sorry. And then all of that'll be about the same as it is. It's not, this boat that we're looking at is not gonna set us back anything as far as taxes or insurance or property tax.
So this actually can be shared between Lakes and Beaches, security and
And,
maintenance.
yes.
Okay.
I'd like to make a proposal to proceed with this so that I can get back to the boat owner and let them know right now they're in limbo as to whether we will take it or not.
If that's a motion, I'll second it.
Okay.
There's a motion made by Al to purchase the 2005 pontoon boat for Lake Patrol maintenance and security. Dave Getty seconded. Any discussion? I know this has been going on for a while because we looked at it, or I looked at it about 6 months ago prior to the season, and it seemed good without having a mechanic look at it, but now that you've vetted that, I don't have any questions. And I do believe Barb said in the, either a combination of special election or infrastructure expense or something, there was room in one of those budgets.
Yeah, we ran by her for.
Yes, definitely made it by Barb before I even called the
You
mechanic.
don't even move.
No.
Just follow the money.
All right, all in favor of the motion to purchase the boat for our Lake Patrol maintenance and security signify with an aye.
Aye.
I,
All opposed, motion passes unanimously.
Thank
Please let the owner know that we will soon as Mark gets back, I guess.
And move forward with that. Al and I are already working on a syllabus for a training. And so we'll have a packet and we'll be ready to roll as soon as we officially own, yes. Thank you.
New business variance for Elliott House.
Yeah, there is a house he's gonna be building it at, I do not have it in front of me, but it's going to go about 10 feet over, not even 10 feet, about 3 feet, maybe over the setback, 30-foot setback. He's going to go the way the house will fit on within the boundaries, and it's 2 lots, it's the back, but it's just, I guess, where the property line is, 30 foot, it's gonna be a big house. Go ahead, Chris, I'm sorry. Say it again.
Lot's kind of shallow lot.
Yes.
Okay.
There's a couple of those on here. The other one over here that we did not long ago on the golf course, they got 3 lots, but they needed a setback in the back. A variance, because it's just so. So I would just make a motion that we grant that variance. It is exactly as the covenant describes.
Just out of curiosity, do we have a builder on that yet? Do we know it if we have it?
Email. No, I don't have the email on, but I think they do. They already have a builder. So I will make that a motion to grant that variance.
Motion made by Dave to grant a variance on the Elliott House within extending no larger than 10 feet past the setback. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Chris Waller. Any discussion on the variance? I've seen the emails. I don't have any questions. It seemed pretty straightforward. It is a shallow lot. Any other discussion?
They are the general contractor.
Okay. All in favor of the motion to approve a variance for the Elliott House, signify with an aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Rules of motions.
Okay, I have 1, 2, 3, I believe, of these. Okay, the first one is, right now, the non-motorized watercraft are the stickers, you get one and it's free. Stickers are like $3 a piece, plus there's office time involved. So the discussion amongst the committee was that a $10 should be the fee on that, because it's just a one-time fee, you would never have to pay it again. But it is for each non-motorized watercraft. So I will make the motion.
This is for future.
Yeah, future. I mean, if you already got a free one, you're good. But if you get a new one, you're gonna have to pay the $10. I will make the motion. Non-motorized watercraft registration sticker, a $10 one-time fee, replacement stickers at the same $10 fee.
Second.
Dave Getty made a motion to assess a $10 one-time fee for non-motorized watercraft of anything new, or I guess transferring as well.
Because it's one time, so once it's on the boat, I mean, if you
Okay.
sell it, I guess.
Well, if it doesn't have one, well,
Right now, they're free, they're just charging $10, so whatever the rules are on them now, we would continue.
They
to
do have a
use.
photo with it, so they know
Yeah.
what it
Yeah.
goes to.
They got a
so I guess if it's got a free one right now and you give it to somebody or sell it to somebody, that's good until you buy a new one.
Are we saying that owner that you sold or gave it to is not subject to the $10 fee for the new?
None of the boat stickers are transferable.
I think if you sell
No
it to
vehicles,
somebody,
yeah,
you
it's-
should have to buy new stickers.
If you sell it to somebody, there's no title or anything, so
But the picture and everything needs to move
Yes.
property files.
so it will no longer be in one file, it'll be in another.
So, well then that's contradicting what I said, I think. Okay, so yes, if you give it or sell it, they have to come up and get a new one-time non-motorized sticker for $10.
Yeah, because the sticker will be in somebody else's name.
So all watercraft stickers, they have the same regulation on reselling.
Right.
Yeah, because there will be a
So-
picture on
For, they need a new sticker.
Correct.
Yep.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Al, did you second that?
Yes, he did.
Al seconded the motion. Deb, is there any discussion further than what we've already talked about?
I just will say that, you know, the price was discussed based on what it costs for the sticker, what it costs off the staff to do it. So that's the only reason it even came up.
It's just your grouping cost.
Okay.
Anything else? Going once, twice? Nope. All in favor of a $10 one-time fee for a non-motorized watercraft signify with an aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes.
Okay, sorry, but I got two more motions.
Hang on, Chris. Dave's button in front of you here.
Oh, no, go ahead, Chris.
No, go ahead, finish it
Oh,
up.
he's got a motion. I got two more. Anyway, the first one is there's been discrepancy on how long, if you're in a rules violation, how long until you get your second violation. You know, if you commit the same offense twice in however much time. So it was discussed that we do all rules violations will have a rolling 12-month period from date of original offense before the violation expires. So if you violate whatever it is today, it will drop off this time next year. That would be the rolling 12 months. If you do a second offense in September, then that wouldn't roll off until September, and so on up the line. That way, because right now it's not really defined how long it is before you commit a second offense. I mean, 30 days, 60 days. This would give it a rolling 12 months.
So, he hasn't made a motion yet.
I can make the motion now if you'd like.
Okay.
Okay, I make the motion that all rules violations will have a rolling 12-month period from date of original offense before the violation expires. All subsequent violations within the same 12-month period will be considered additional offenses, resulting in additional censures and time.
Did you get that?
I thought what he was saying is that if you commit a violation 6 times in the first year, it only counts as once.
No, if you do one, it counts as one. And if you do another one within that same rolling 12-month period, not only will you be getting a second offense, but your 12-month period will then start from that day. So each
Okay.
offense comes with another 12-month rolling. So it's a censure and a time extension.
Okay, so let me read it to you, Deb, based on the way it is and the way they approved it. All rules violations will have a rolling 12-month period from date of original offense before the violation expires. All subsequent violations within the same 12-month period will be considered additional offenses, resulting in additional censures and time. And
Okay.
we don't have a second yet. Is Al seconded? Any discussion? All in favor of this motion for the rolling 12-month period on rules violations signify with an aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, and just one more. I'm just gonna make the motion, then we can discuss. I make the motions, all unauthorized parking violations, first, second, and third offense is $100, $200, and $300, with 15 days to correct. Day 16 begins a $50 a day up to $1,000.
Is there a second?
Me.
Okay, let me read the motion by Dave Getty. All unauthorized parking violations, first, second, third, is 100, 200, 300, with 15 days to correct. Day 16 begins $50 per day up to 1,000. Al seconded the motion. Any discussion? All in favor of this motion signify with an aye.
Aye.
Right.
objection? 1, 2, 3, 4 in favor. Okay, Chris, your motion in new business, or your discussion, let me say that.
Discussion. It's more of a discussion, you can get to, I don't think it'll be decided tonight. But it's concerning the parking across from each parking area. On the other opposite side of the road, there is rocks, on the side of the road, some big boulders there, and there's spaces in between. And it's posted, there is a no parking sign posted. When I was volunteering patrol this previous weekend, I had a resident try to park in between the rocks. I asked him to kind of move, and to, I guess, across the creek area there, across the ditch, there is an overflow area where we allow people to park in the grass under the trees. And this past weekend, there were 3 golf carts parked in between the rocks. And I just took down the numbers, but I think we need to either remove the no parking sign or enforce it as it is, or we need to put it as golf cart parking only if we need additional overflow. So if we're in that much of a dire strait that we need more parking, we need to at least post it and put signage up there so that it can be equally
Clear cut. No way we
that
can.
it can be equally enforced. Currently, I can't, if the sign says no parking, and no parking goes for all vehicles, including golf carts. So the way it's currently is, there should be no parking on the side of the road between those rocks. But as I've also been told is, people have been using that as an overflow area when the parking lot is full, but it's parking golf carts there. So if we're gonna use it for golf cart, if we're gonna use it for golf cart parking, we need to put signs up for golf cart parking.
Yeah, and based off of the emails that I seen, I would suggest that we change the sign from no parking to golf cart parking for several reasons. One, it's convenient, it's bad enough people gotta walk across the street, which it sometimes can be busy. The other was a good comment that made, they don't wanna park up the street because it could get vandalized just parking along the side. And they can park 4 in a spot at the beach or over on the side of that creek versus parking 1 up on the hill. So my suggestion, if somebody makes the motion, I'm just bringing this up, would be to make a motion to change the sign to allow golf cart parking
Well,
in that area.
I think that's a good idea, but I think that the original idea of that no parking sign wasn't so much for between those rocks as it was on the road there as it comes out of the campground. That's what was intended. So if you kept that sign there for that purpose, we'd still have to have another sign put up where those golf carts can park, because I think the no parking sign was more on the street as opposed to where the golf carts. But it's confusing. Chris is right. It's got to be, if we're going to leave the no parking sign there for the street, then we need to put something in that other area where those golf carts are parked, or full golf cart parking only, or something to that effect. I don't think you need a motion. That can be done.
Just say no parking on the street.
Yeah, because I mean, I think the sign would probably work if you designated that other area as far as just golf cart parking.
Darwin will find something out.
So Chris,
Well, I think
I'll leave.
whatever it needs to be perfectly clear, because if I was enforcing it, I would have written 3 golf carts.
Yep.
Properly.
Yes.
So Barb will be back tomorrow. I would say get with her and Tammy, and you need to be involved, Dave, and
I think roads and lakes and beaches will cover it, but if they need me, I'll be there. But for the most part, I mean, like I said, I just think that no parking sign is meant for the street. So if they keep that there, they have to do something to designate that other area as golf cart parking only. Because you don't even want the golf carts parking on the
It
street.
needs to be crystal clear,
Yeah.
because currently it's unenforceable.
We're buying additional signs about the fishing and casting too, so we'll add that to our shopping list for signage.
Also, I want, while we're on parking, I just wanted, if I can, just one comment, I don't know if everything's clear for me or not, but a lot of complaints and a lot of people trying to talk themselves out. I've got my assessments paid up, I just don't have a sticker or something like that. It's the real only way that the person down at the beach is gonna know that you have your assessments paid up, if there is a yellow sticker in the window.
yeah, that's a good point. I've seen that as well, that either they're taped on there, or they don't have them, or they're at home, or they're in the mail or something like that. So for anybody online or in this room, that if you have your stickers, they need to be affixed properly, and it
Properly
is
affixed.
worded like that in the rules.
And it's also on the document you sign when you get it. You're agreeing to fix that
Well,
person.
the problem wasn't really so much of the people not seeing them, trying to, and don't have their yellow sticker because they didn't have their insurance card, or they didn't have their title or something else. Office sticker. I don't know that because I don't see a sticker.
Right.
So I try to be nice and polite and try to explain it to everybody. But that, for somebody trying to enforce parking down there, that is the only way that we have to tell whether or not they're allowed to park at the beach parking area or not.
Correct.
Because another property owner will come down there with their yellow sticker and then call me because there's somebody parked in their spot without a sticker.
Alrighty,
Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox separate.
that's all I have. No more new business. Anybody else? What was that, Chris?
Nope, I don't have anything else.
I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
I will make that motion.
Is there a second?
Yeah.
Meeting adjourned.
Who
Open,
seconded?
Al did.
Okay.
Open forum. We will have input from the audience. If you can state your name and address in 3 minutes, unless it's dire need, I will give you more. Yes, ma'am.
Linda Camden on Shiloh. I'm asking, would you mind testing, turning your laptop around and asking Chris to talk some more to see if his voice projects better? Because I know when I'm on Zoom at home, we can't hear those folks there.
Chris, you're on the hot seat right now. Can you,
I'm sorry, we can't hear that on the phone. If you can repeat the question for us, please.
Yeah.
So you can hear.
I want to see
they want me to turn you around and face the audience and tell them about your life history for about 3 minutes.
time for your close-up.
Speak, they want to know if they can hear you online.
Oh, hello,
We need more than that.
That's
I'm sorry, what,
Introduce yourself as the security chairperson and how great you
hi,
are.
my name is Chris Baller. I'm currently the chairperson of Security Committee.
Any big difference?
Enough?
I'm asking. No response yet.
Does it sound any better out there? I mean, I guess you don't know.
I have speakers I can bring from home, we could hook up
That's not bad.
What was that? Linda Camden.
on Shiloh.
Thank you.
I will tell you that I am desperately still waiting for my upgraded internet here. more about the Wi-Fi in here, Linda, than it is anything else.
Well, even I'm having difficulty hearing Chris, especially because I think he's got a low voice, a deep voice.
Yeah.
Or Deb or whoever talks
Well, I've
is
got,
better.
And sometimes it
One and a
stands out
half.
too when they talk.
I got 1.5 bars on my Wi-Fi, so it's all the way through that door, around the corner, in the top of a closet with the doors closed.
Should I turn mine off, will that give you more?
No.
No, it's
Yeah,
not fairy dust.
the furthest point away from the,
Yeah,
yeah,
Can you
basically.
guys hear?
we can all go sit in the conference room and talk.
I could hear better when I turn around.
It's muffled. It's hard even back here to hear correctly, so.
All right, if he needs to answer something, I will turn him around, hopefully help, or I'll repeat his questions or answers.
Well, like you said, speakers next would be great. External speakers.
Anybody else got any questions? Eric, anybody online?
Yep, so just, it was a question from Laura Breeze. How long are verified rule offenders given to correct a violation? Not talking about the unauthorized parking violations.
Depending on the violation, it's laid out in the rules manual, but usually it's 14 days to comply. 14 days is the standard to comply. And after that, it usually becomes an offense, and then there can be up to a $50 a day, depending on what rule violation it is. So 14 days to comply. For instance, if it was parking on the lawn, I would probably call you if I got a complaint and ask you to move it. If you didn't, after 14 days, I would send you a letter giving you another 14 days. And then if you didn't, there would be a $50 a day added onto it. But some violations you can't add that on to.
So Deb Laura Breezy asked how long to comply after a violation. And Dave answered with 14 days
Thank you.
in most cases.
Because
Anything
if
else
that's
there?
14 days to either fix it, pay it, or request a hearing.
No, the other comment was from Sharon, and she said it is helpful when we turn them around. That way they know who's online and they can hear them better.
Okay, good, sorry. We did have a karaoke machine, the microphone was broke off in it. I apologize, I got another microphone at home I think I can use.
That's all I got.
Yes.
Brandon Maloney, Lincoln Drive. I had made a post on Nextdoor about voting hours. Has there ever been any discussion of adjusting the voting hours? Like during the week, I think there's been low voter turnout for a long time, and I think extending, 12 to 6 during the week would help out. Like people could come on their way home from work and vote. It's just, you only get that one Saturday and a little bit of Sunday, and especially just lot owners. So I just had a question about, has there been discussion of adjusting voting hours, and then how do you go about it?
It's a good question, and the problem with it, Brandon, is we always think about it at the time of the election, and it has to be a ballot item to change that. So then we need to put it on for the next year, and it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. I've actually proposed to have not only the daytime hours, but at least one night during the week where either one of the gals or the volunteers can work like maybe a 12 to 8 or something, like on a Thursday night or something, and maybe extend the hours on a Saturday or start earlier on a Sunday. I mean, Sunday's a little tricky because of church and whatnot, but it's definitely been considered. I don't know why we forget to put it on the ballot.
We're gonna have to hire more staff for one, if you wanna have, because we could lengthen, you could do it 8 to 10
I'm just
hours.
asking for just
Right.
that week, not,
Yeah, It's just the office staff is only, and they have their set hours, and then that's when they're gone, so who can conduct the election without the regular office hours, other than the volunteers? I mean, I don't know how else, can the office be closed and it still be conducted?
I don't know, that's a good question. We need to see.
The bylaws say that voting will take place during regular office hours.
And
Yeah.
otherwise, who would run it if you don't do it when they're here?
So that
if
would
we
take,
pass an assessment, we could maybe get more staff in there.
before the ballot items next year, reach out to me, or maybe we even start that discussion in the beginning of the year and see what comes up, because one, it's gonna be a little bit of a confusing ballot item, because one, like Deb just said, during office hours. So for that 1 week or that one day, or a couple days, we need to make that time of the year different office hours, so it coincides with the ballot or the covenant, or we change the office hour statement. and then make the actual hours that we think would be feasible for lot owners, property owners, homeowners, people out of town and whatnot. So problem is, we always think about it after it's too late, at least myself has. I know it's been brought up numerous times, but get with me and keep that discussion going and come up with an idea, and I'll give you my ideas, but I think at least one night, a late night, and then maybe extend on Saturdays as well.
What night, Brandon, would make most sense to you?
I don't know, I'm just saying,
A Friday or a Wednesday?
just something past 3, I mean, 3 o'clock is just, it's very hard for
Right.
the working families to make that during the week. I know there's Saturday, but, you know, like, that's my only day off, so like, you know, some people don't wanna waste their only, you know, their day off.
There's a
Or you're on
voting time
vacation.
on Sunday
Yeah,
as
for
well,
that
right?
too.
Yeah, Sunday, but you hate to extend Sunday in any way, shape,
I mean,
or
just
form.
still, the ballot's still open
So
on
the
Sunday.
thing, I mean, not only do we gotta extend the office hours, we gotta get volunteers later as well,
That's right.
because,
And that's the only reason why it went from 10 days to 5 days, because I like 10 days myself, because we got people from out of town and stuff that have property, or that are property owners, but we can't get volunteers. I mean, we need somebody sitting in there actually ready to get the people signed in.
I
and
think
get their
that's why
ballot.
it went to a week, because they just couldn't
Couldn't
extend it
keep
for
up with
2
the
weeks.
volunteers.
I wasn't
Yeah,
involved.
it's currently in the bylaws. I just pulled it up. That it must be 5 days prior to any membership meeting during regular office hours.
So that's something that we need to negotiate, if that week is different office hours, or we just change the wording and change the times on the voting. But it is a valid item because it's in the bylaws. Hey Deb, or Chris, either one of you, if we just change the office hours for that 1 week, do we have to change the covenant or the bylaws?
I don't think the office hours are set.
I am not aware.
What was
The
that?
wording- Well, the wording says during regular office hours.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're changing the office hours for that week, it's not regular office hours. I'm not to be a stickler for wording, but
You're right.
But if it's that time every year, then it would be regular. We just gotta have 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
well, it would
Let's
have to
talk
just be
about
formalize it.
Well, it's been discussed, though, we needed some other longer office hours anyway for people to get just that standard business.
Right.
But it's just, at this point, it's just not feasible. We would literally have to hire probably another person in the office, at least one person.
All right, thanks Brandon. Linda,
Thank you for the math that you did in the yellow newsletter about how the assessments would play out in a 10-year span. I think that was very, very helpful. You had said in this meeting that if all that passes, that you don't foresee the need to ask for another increase because you believe, I think you said, cost of living would be sufficient all that time. So, I mean, is that really true? With all the miles of road that we've talked about, what I heard the cost of repairing just, you know, whatever you said, this much land, this much road. I mean, even cost of living doesn't seem like that would be sufficient to do everything that's needed here to bring everything up to a good par and not just certain roads, you know, or and, all the stuff that everybody wants. That's my only question is, do you really know that, yes, we bring in enough money every year for, you know, for the next 5 to 10 years that, yeah, boy, we won't ever see another increase. Just curious if you really know that, or if that just sounds, you know.
well, I actually did some history based on from 1979, this was a couple of years ago when we tried doing this. And had the COLA been set back then, we would be fine right now. I will say the main reason we're in the hole we're in is because of the legal spending, there's no doubt in my mind. And both Barb and I have done some studies, nothing scientific or with, you know, anything drastic, spend any money to get a report done, but we do believe, and for whatever the reason being, and I guess it's because of the extraordinary reduced amount of legal bills that we have lately, that we do, we were going like this when I first got on the board. And we did the black hole, got rid of that. We spent minimal on fighting the lawsuit this past year. More so the legal fees that we're spending is on collections and whatnot. Now, I'm not gonna say there isn't a couple thousand, $3,000, whatever, on defending the lawsuit. But a lot of these legal fees that we're spending now, we're recouping them. What's so funny?
I'm just smiling.
We're recouping them as our covenants allow us to charge for legal fees and interest and penalties. So one of the things that I have noticed is we're more like this. We're still kind of bouncing along the road here. And both Barb and I have said, she said 5, I think we're in a 3 to 5 year recovery period. Because if it gets approved, we don't get it till next year. So we're already 2 to 3, 4 years in a pitfall. If we can get the legal crap behind us, the settlement agreement, all that, and no more lawsuits other than fighting for collections and whatnot. And I just had a meeting with the office staff and Barb 3 weeks ago that we are going after people. I'm done sitting around saying, oh yeah, can I bring up $15 and wipe my slate clean and I'll start paying again. That is over. So you're gonna start seeing collections getting a little more drastic.
Yeah, because when we go to collections on the $50 assessment from last year, we only get $48 out of it.
It's probably less than
Less
that.
than that.
It's
Well, it depends on how long
27%.
it goes, yeah.
Collection agency takes 27%, and they have told the office to just take what you can get. Well, they, of course, are gonna say that, because then they don't have to do nothing for 27%. So we made an agreement 3 weeks ago that no more, we're not collecting. Once it goes to collections, we're done with it. And we're gonna go to small claims or whatever it takes. We don't wanna have to be in the business of collections and attorneys and lawsuits and small claims to make money around here. So that is one of the nicer things that, like I said, the legal bill is flattened out, and we are doing our best to keep the spending flatline. But it don't take a brain surgeon to figure out these roads are deteriorating. And the biggest problem is East and West Vista, Easy Street, Swanee, the main streets that lead to the beach or the clubhouse or around the lake, they're getting beat up every year. So at any given point, almost every year, parts of those roads gotta be replaced. So the ones that get neglected are the ones that are in the back that are still on dirt and gravel.
We got houses going up.
Potholes we're fixing instead of replacing. Yeah, there's that too. When a house goes in on an unapproved road, we got 2 years to improve
We
it.
have 1 year.
I thought we could do gravel the first year and asphalt the second year. Well, anyway,
Chip and seal.
what is it?
That's 2 years.
2 years we have? I thought we had 1. Okay, good.
So, to answer your question, I do believe we're in a 3 to 5 year recovery period. The first year is gonna be, you're probably not even gonna notice it. 2, 3, you might start chipping away at it. Once we get to a point where the bank account is sustainable and we don't have to borrow money or special assessments, I think you're gonna notice that, and based on up to a 2% COLA, I mean, nothing make me happier than to say the cost of living was 0% and we don't have to do nothing. And that will happen. There's, you're gonna have times when cost of living, is minimal. I think the one lady said here a couple of years ago that 2 years it didn't go up at all. But we are not gonna charge it if we don't need it. And I truly believe, based on the numbers I've put together from this subdivision, that I think if after 5 years, we're somewhat comfortable in what we're getting every year. We got a couple big things working too to try to get this subdivision turned around as well. And I'm working with a couple property owners, and I'll probably be announcing that at the next meeting. But there's definitely some things that we can do to enhance this place and, get rid of some of the ridiculous debt that we have and spending. But, and I know this settlement agreement is a sore subject with a lot of people, but I truly believe if that would have been behind us in 2015 or 2008 or whenever it was, look where we would be. $750,000 sitting in a bank account versus somebody else's bank account. And I don't want to preach on the soapbox or use this as a platform to say what my views are, but I mean, the numbers speak for themselves.
Two more questions
Sure.
about that. What percentage needs to, would it take to pass that ballot item? How many? 80%?
One more
50%?
than says no,
One, oh, really?
Yeah,
just a simple majority.
Just to count.
Okay, and do we know, like, I think last year's elections seemed to be, if not a record turnout, really good, really strong.
Best I've been since I've been here.
Okay, do we have a clue what percentage those were residents that lived here that came to vote last year?
There is, but I don't have that information. They lock that stuff up like Fort Knox as soon as the election is over. But I do believe the girls in the office, Wendy, do you guys have any metrics on that?
I'm sure
we do, I just don't know what they are.
I mean, that's a valid question, right? I mean, there's nothing secret about having that information,
The only,
correct?
about how many property owners versus homeowners versus what sections they came from?
I don't, yeah, just how many live here versus?
Yeah, we don't generally tabulate that, but, we talk about it afterwards, say, gosh, I wish we tabulated that.
I will say last year was probably the closest to being 50-50. There probably were a lot of lot owners that came out either, well, I would say probably against the special assessment based on the pile I have right here. But I think there was over 400 people show up last year, wasn't there?
Could that be a metric that you take this year? How many votes and how many residents?
I think they know that based on they gotta have their assessments paid up, so they vet that against the QuickBooks to say, okay, yeah, you're good, you can vote, and they at least know the lot and section number.
Aren't they, whenever you go up to register, don't they ask you if you're a resident or a property owner? I mean, I'm trying to think back a whole year. My
Well,
mind can't
I
work
don't
that.
think so, but I think your
I
address
think
is.
you put
in
your
there.
address,
Yeah.
you fill out your address and you have to show your ID.
I thought they had
Address
a
is
book.
something other than in Raintree, then you're probably a property owner if it's in Raintree, you know.
I don't know if it's violating any kind of counting laws, but when they count yay for this person and no for that person or whatever, can they say property owner versus, or lot owner versus
I
homeowner
thought
or resident?
I thought they did when
The
resident.
ballots are not identifiable.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm not necessarily saying that by item, you figure that out, just
By
400 people came to vote and 75% live here.
Just who
Yeah.
signed the sign
That's all.
sheet,
Go ahead, Chris.
whether they're owners versus residents.
Yeah, just, just so we have a clue, if there are people that don't live here that make the effort to come, because that will help definitely extend the hours. Maybe that's why some folks can't come, because we don't have,
Hey Dave,
Yeah,
it's posted on the website, last year there were 491 ballots submitted.
so since I've been here, that's the most that ever showed up. Typically, when money's involved, you get a better turnout.
And you'd almost have to go through the sign-in book to really look to see how that went, and I had no idea how.
We just, if we did, we'd have to make sure it wasn't a violation of any voting laws.
Maybe the accountant to do that.
Yeah.
The attorney.
I mean,
As
it
long
might be
as
a
it's
good
just
way
a
for
tally
us,
mark and it's not
Or
a
when
name.
they can do
right.
But we have to view everybody as a property owner.
That's true.
And honestly, I prefer Raintree owner, so that we're all universal, that we don't subdivide if we don't have to. We're all Raintree owners, whether we live here or not.
And that's why I said property, because you got property rather than a house owner.
But some people still go with, well, does that, yeah.
Yes,
Then
yes,
there's that whole discussion, well, what does that really mean?
Michael?
Mike Hampton on Shiloh. Early in the meeting, you mentioned something about the lawsuit, and I was just wondering if you could give us a recap on where we're at on any lawsuits? And is a lot of money still going out to lawyers for that, or is
No.
it pretty calm now?
We actually, well, let me just recap first and then I'll answer your second question. The lawsuit had a settlement agreement. The judge wrote the order for the settlement agreement based on the three parties getting together and coming to a agreement on how to handle it, what to charge, what amenities. I will say, for the people that haven't read it, there is an oversight committee based on all sides participating. And I believe it's an evergreen type of, or no, I think we had to leave that out because it wasn't a contract anymore, because it would go in the covenant, so that, forget that, but it was a final settlement agreement. There wasn't, first there was an order written to retry the case. That was denied, or I don't know if you call it denied, it expired after 90 days. Then there was an appeal filed. From what I have been told, it was 20 minutes before it became final. I don't know if that's true, because I'm not there counting numbers and clocks, but there was an appeal filed. They have requested the correspondence of the history of the case from 2015 on, I believe, right? Audio, video, paper, anything. Previous lawsuits, case law, anything, which I imagine would fill this room. Haven't heard anything if the appeals trial will award that. It could come back and the appeal court could say everything was done right. Typically, the reason for an appeal is some kind of fraudulent act by one or others in there. If it doesn't get awarded, then the case would be final and billing would start next June or May. I think it sends out due June 15th.
Might start out before then, depending what's
Well, I don't think he's gonna
be
be,
a prorated amount.
not for, they've already paid this year. It'd be next year.
No, if it was, if the judge was, if it was settled right now, if it was done, the country club would likely send out a.
That's not my impression.
It's in the settlement.
I don't think so. Anyway, to your second question, our attorney represents everybody. So we don't have an objection to it one way or the other. This goes all the way back to the class suit. We couldn't really object to it. The judge would have looked at us like, well, why are you objecting to a class of, this is what got everybody in this boat, is a chunk of people created a class and took it to the courts and didn't represent everybody. Technically, had they represented everybody, that little statement that happened in 2010 or 12, 13, that said you can have a lien placed and you are mandatory and blah, 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 that would have been for the entire subdivision. But the way they created the class, the attorney at the time didn't do it properly, or they didn't reach out to the entire subdivision, or the board at that time didn't represent everybody. That's what got us in that boat. So we are hardly spending anything. Actually, we haven't spent anything other than maybe an email or a text message or something like that. But as far as thousands of dollars for this case, the one day they sat in the courtroom from 2 o'clock to 10:30, that was the biggest expense. And that was for the objection hearing. Outside of that, our attorney that represents everyone has basically just been in a listening mode. So, yeah, that's where it is. What I've been told, it could take 6 months before an appellate court either accepts it or denies it. And then if it does accept it, then you go down that path again. There'd be another.
When it accepts, do you mean approves the appeal?
What was that, Deb?
When you say accepts it or denies it, you mean,
If they accept the appeal into the court, they will have to retry the case. Usually that decision, from what I was told, takes about 6 months, but it could be up to a year. If anybody's got anything different than what I've been told. And if it gets approved for an appeal, then the whole case is retried from start to finish.
so the important point there is that even if it's accepted for an appeal, it doesn't flip the decision, it just makes it start over.
Correct.
The appellate court can do several things. They can fix it, they can throw it out, they can go for a new trial. I mean, just several things they can do. It's not just one thing.
Yeah, so if it does get awarded an appeal, like Dave said, they can modify the judgment. They can just say they're throwing it out and they're not even accepting the judgment, or they accept the judgment as written. And we don't know how long that will take. And I believe there's 3 judges involved, is that true?
And there's more than, yeah, it's a number of those.
Yeah. Anything else? Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Ray Griff on Prairie Drive. So this is kind of a two-part question, so it's kind of directed towards lakes and beaches and security. So I know, Ed's gone, so I know we've had people going out and volunteering. So my question would be kind of in two parts, our current status right now, and then when we got somebody who's in charge, actually is gonna be down there like an Ed type person. So this past weekend, we're down there, people were on the beach with glass bottles. One of the lot owners went up and approached the security guard who happened to be down there and told him about it. Nothing happened. So my wife went over and talked to the person in question, and they said, "Oh, thank you." And okay, we follow cameras out. Well, she walks back into the water, and they don't do anything about it. So they just continue to drink glass, or have glass at the beach. So in that regard, that would be one kind of separate question: is what's the current board status on that? And what's it going to be going forward? And then the other question would be, as far as the, like the stickers on vehicles. So down at the dam, or the fishing area and up by the beach, there's times where, and in the past, those vehicles probably would have been towed if they weren't moved. Well, it doesn't seem like that's happening anymore. So my concern is that Joe Blow comes down there and he parks his vehicle, and it's not a legal vehicle. If there's no, he might take a picture of it. I don't know if they're going to be censored, or they just, what's the recourse for that going forward?
I'll answer what I can, and if Chris wants to chime in, he can. I will tell you that the reason they probably weren't getting towed is because of that. Because he would take a picture. Believe me, we've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds.
He did call the tow truck, and
All
it
the
just
time.
often wasn't available.
Yeah.
And so he would send pictures to the email.
I will say that Ed probably got in front of the problem and gave him the opportunity to either move it, get out, or leave. And I know it was not easy on him. And, it just is an unfortunate situation that it had to go down the way it did. But, Ed probably did the part of what a tow truck would have normally done. If you just put a security company down there, there's going to be a tow truck down there every day based on what's going on. I will tell you that was a long-term design of ours to get a security company in here. Obviously, if this assessment thing passes, the guard shack probably come back, in different gates on the systems, maybe extra lanes. I mean, the security and the roads are the number one thing that we need to address in this subdivision. And that's part of that 3 to 5 year recovery that we're trying to go after. But physical security, I have an IT background, and I've been in all kinds of data centers and whatnot. There is never one solid solution that works for everything, other than prison. But even in prison, you have gates you got to get in and out of with cards and badges. You got physical security. So what 100% successful security, and I don't know if that is even possible. You got to have gate cards and PIN codes, and you got to have, at a minimum, a physical presence. And if you don't have it 24/7, and you don't have it at every gate and every area that's being abused, that's not even 100%, because there still could be problems. But we somehow got to figure out a way to pay for physical security with the money that we spent on these gates. Having a Nerf gate is only a problem if you don't have physical security here. I don't care if the gate could be made out of cotton balls, for all I care. But if there's somebody sitting in this guard shack that can chase them down when they do it, who cares what the gate's made out of? And I know people say, they don't do their job, but I mean, anybody can run through a gate. And Dave has collected a lot of fines, more so on vendors, I think, than anybody. But
Tailgating is another one. That's a big one.
So I personally believe that if an assessment increase is passed, all kinds of stuff's going to happen. A couple of years ago, we were talking about amenities, about sand volleyball, about a basketball court, or pickleball, which I damn near broke my hip on over my vacation. But things like that can happen, and those are small things that can happen now. That's not part of the 3 to 5 year recovery plan, but that needs to be roads and security at a minimum.
Okay, but what if that doesn't pass?
Well, then we're on this bumpy road right here.
Well, I know, but what about like our security? Watched over the beach, I did a phenomenal job. And people might have gotten mad at them for making them move their vehicle, because they didn't have a sticker. And so then they make up lies about it, you know? There were a lot of lies that were said, I know.
We're gonna, I mean, we're gonna do everything under our power. I mean, Ed was on payroll, so there was a budget for
And that's
that.
another thing, you'll never find anybody that will do as good of a job as he did for what he got paid. He didn't get paid much.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but, you know, there's so many factors that play into reasons why or why not, and
Well, I know, but, I mean, they're not checked out. Someone calls up here and makes a complaint, you know, does anybody come down and talk to him, or, you know, anybody else that was around?
Well, like
Which
said,
I have personally heard myself, Ed, tell somebody down at the beach they were not allowed to be doing something in particular, and this asshole turned around and said, I'm gonna have his job. I mean, it was one of those situations where it's like, are you kidding me?
Right.
Because you got slapped on the head and told you can't be doing something that you're not supposed to be doing. You're going to sit there and tell other people you're gonna have this guy's job?
I've heard something similar to that just the other day. You know, I'm not naming any names, but somebody said to me that I'm so-and-so and I got clout around here and I got pull. Well,
Yeah.
unless you're pulling me, you don't have no pull. Because everything, the old saying is shit runs downhill, and it does for me. So, and believe me,
But
these
you didn't
guys
even
know.
You didn't even know you were out of town.
Well, I mean, that's
I mean-
unfortunate.
So I would think that our biggest issue that we have right now at this time is Ed was let go for whatever reasons it is that you guys saw fit without a good backup in place. Tammy and apparently Chris Waller have been going down there and looking at things, but the situation that happens down there at the beach, in the parking lot, at the boat ramp is not being handled anywhere near the level that Ed took care of things at. When there was a post on Nextdoor right after everything first happened, and one person made a comment about people being down there with glass on the beach, and what if her daughter were to step on a piece of glass? Someone else comments back, which I completely and totally disagree with, a chairman committee member's wife actually sitting there calling another resident a bad parent if her child were to unknowingly step on a piece of glass that's buried in the sand, and that should be uncalled for. I thought that there was no POA board members supposed to be going back and forth with Nextdoor at one point because it had all dropped off. I think the same should be held for committee members, and especially committee members' spouses. Watch your mouth with the way that you want to talk to the rest of the residents whenever you are coming down and actually straight up attacking someone for a valid concern, and then not saying that they're a bad parent should an accident happen.
Yeah,
Can I speak for a minute?
yeah, let me just say one thing and then you can talk to me. To answer the first part of your conversation, which I don't disagree with you, but there's never a good time to fire anybody.
Oh, I understand that.
And, you know, I've been in management, I've owned a couple businesses, I've been in areas where I don't care what it is, I don't care if it's for the absolute best reason, they held the gun to your head and said, I'm gonna kill you, I gotta fire. It's a tough night of sleep, believe me, when you're 1,000 miles away and you hear about this of a guy that I got along with, I didn't have a problem with that. You know, was he a little rough around the edges at times? Sure, but aren't we all? But to the point of, yeah, I'm the president, I'm not to say on that. I think for everybody, and I came to this board, I don't know, 6, 8 months ago, maybe it was last election year, and said, listen, we're done with Nextdoor. Because all it is a shit show, I ain't kidding you. You know, I could say the sky is blue and somebody's gonna call me an MF, it doesn't matter. But after, with the ballot items and nobody responded, and Dave did a little bit, and Adam got on there, I said, all right, I'm gonna break my own rule, I'm gonna allow the board to speak, but they gotta speak from facts, and I don't wanna see anybody arguing on there. Now, I can't violate a person's right to speech if they wanna get on there, but if they're gonna get on there and speak on behalf of the board, they gotta have their facts straight. So we are back on Nextdoor, well, 7 of the 8 of us, because one of them's not on there. But, believe me, I'm trying to get, I ain't kidding you, at some point in time, I feel like, it's both sides and I'm trying to make everybody happy but Tammy, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, Ed and I, we spoke, oh my God, countless times every day that he was here. And we would text and meet up here and try to figure out ways. And there were about 5 things that drove Ed bonkers because they were rules that relied on people's honesty. And the glass bottle drove him nuts because he could only ask people to be adults, and they would refuse to be adults. He can't then take a picture of them without getting in trouble for taking a picture of somebody at the
You
beach.
can take a picture.
But then it depended upon us identifying them because he would ask people for their names and they would just refuse. So there's no way to censure somebody who refuses to give you their name. And then, he walked that fine line of not wanting to involve others and say, hey, do you know that person's name? Because I'm going to censure them for their glass bottle. Because again, there's a confidentiality thing, even though they're breaking a rule. And you don't want to pit neighbor against neighbor, and you don't want to build animosity. So the glass bottles and the swim rope drove him bonkers because there'd be people out there, and and nobody would tell him who they were. And it's like the people that were fishing, the people that were casting into the swim ropes and stuff too. He had no way. He could only ever identify people by stickers, by vehicle stickers, golf cart stickers, boat stickers. When it comes to asking an adult for their name because you're holding them accountable for their adult choices, that poor man would hit his head on the wall every day, and he would feel so defeated, and he felt like it's such a simple task asking people to just be safe, to just be courteous.
One thing you have to be told not to carry a bottle.
Yeah, that's not a Raintree rule. That's pretty much just a society rule. You don't bring glass to public places.
I had seen that situation arise a couple times, and he always had red Solo cups in his car.
Exactly.
And I've never seen anyone be like, oh, whoops, too bad, I'm continuing to drink this. They would be like, oh my gosh, sorry, didn't know, and into the cup it went.
For the
And it
most
was an
part,
over and done
for the
deal.
most part, that's true, but we got plenty of emails from Ed saying glass bottles on the
Yes.
beach.
Oh.
Not to say that maybe at some point he did recover or fix the problem.
Or was able to at least a certain percentage of the time, maybe not 100% of the time, but there was at least an effort made.
Mhm.
Which is what I'm saying with
No,
what it
you're
is
right.
that we're missing out on like the past 2 weekends.
Yes, right now, because when Waller and I are down there and we're looking, we are taking pictures of stickers, but for the most part, I had one car that was parked in the resident parking that wasn't supposed to be. They had a guest placard, and they were asked to move, and they moved. There was no problem. I have not seen any parking problems in the hours that I have been down there over the last 2 weekends.
I know there was one day, the whole front part of the parking lot, like up against like the beach.
Up by the rocks.
Yeah. It was all taken by vehicles with no stickers or guest passes.
There was 5 there today.
Yeah,
No sticker, Joe.
yeah, there was 2 with no stickers, and there was 2 with the yellow
Mhm.
sticker laying on the goddamn dashboard.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
there were
that's
only
gotta
about,
stop.
there were only about 10 cars there, right?
Yeah, the
I didn't-
parking, yeah, I didn't go down today because every time I looked, the parking lot wasn't full, so I wasn't worried about whether or not parking was a problem down there. Because I can see the boat ramp from my house, I can see the beach parking lot, and I can see part of the hill. So
And
I
there was one
went
day-
down once today, but that was it.
There's a blue sticker down at the boat ramp, it wasn't towed, What if those people moved out? That was 4 years ago.
But
And
if they have a boat, if they have a current boat sticker, we can identify them through that boat sticker.
Yeah, and you know what, on the yellow stickers, I should have taken the numbers out of
You
those.
should have,
To
because
see if
we,
it
that's
corresponded with the vehicle.
we'd be able to identify
Because
them
it
with
was-
that yellow sticker.
Maybe I'll do it.
Yeah,
So,
hold
I mean,
your-
I apologize that it's not perfect. We are doing our best. I am doing everything I can. I'm trying.
Well, I have, sorry,
Hang on one second, Chris has something to say. Chris, go ahead.
Oh, well, first about glass bottles, I just want to point out that there are 2 6-foot signs at the beach, at the 2 entrances to the beach. 6-foot sign, and in 3 or 4-inch letters at the very top, it says, no glass container. You know, it's not an arbitrary rule, it is right there on the beach. Anybody that sees somebody with a bottle, all they need to do is point at that sign and say, hey, there's no glass on the beach. But I will tell you, I had 2 people come up to me yesterday and tell me there were people down in the water with glass bottles. They were drinking their beer out of glass bottles, and they were down in the water.
right.
Guess what? I'm not going to go wade up to my waist in water to go track them down. I looked for glass bottles. If I would have spotted somebody, I would have said something. Also, every night that I was up there patrolling these last 2 weeks, I've made it an effort to walk across the beach and pick up trash. And you know, I've seen so many other people not do that at all. People that don't respect the amenities, take care of it themselves. They're grown people. We are not paying somebody to be adult supervision for these people that are down on the beach. We're there to patrol and make sure that the parking is taken care of and address immediate issues. But we're not going to babysit people. And as for the comment about a board member's wife, next door is a social media, and everybody has their own opinion and has a right to their own opinion. And I'm sorry if somebody was offended by what my wife might say, but that has no reflection on the board. She was trying to stand up for disrespect for the board and try to add some more information. So don't hold that against the board. I'll shut up now.
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah, hang on one second, Joe.
Joe cleans up down there all the time.
I will say that I was down here on Saturday, and I was down here on Sunday. People probably don't know who the hell I am, because I don't ever go down there. But I talked to people. I talked to you guys down there last night or yesterday afternoon. I was down there Saturday morning. Sometimes I'm worried if I should wear bulletproof vests down there, but I try to introduce myself to everybody. I walked down almost all the way to the water and said, hey, I mean, everybody was getting along like you wouldn't believe. So I ain't kidding you, there wasn't really nothing for me to do. I guess one of my ignorances was I didn't actually go through each car looking in the windows like Ed did very well, but I did look at the ones on the beat or the boat ramp parking.
Can't hear you, Dave.
Oh, sorry. I will say, and as unfortunate it is about Ed, if you know anybody that's interested, we are looking for a security firm to do some additional security. And to somebody who asked that, well, what if it don't get passed? Well, if it don't get passed, it's gonna be not as much security. But what I've talked to both Chris and Adam, who are on the security details, is let's focus on maybe May through September. Obviously the beaches and nobody's swimming in the rest of the months. Does it still need to be guarded? Sure, we probably still need roaming patrol and physical patrol. But if we can get a security company and get more of a all-day type of effort versus coming in at 10 or 11 and leaving at 4 or 5 or 7 or whatever, 9, we need something more regular. And we're gonna do our best to take what we were paying Ed over 12 months and consolidate it to 5 or 6 months so we can supply decent paid for security during that time. So what he was making over a year, we consolidate it, add a little bit to it, maybe we move some budgets around. Believe me, we're doing everything we can. We know the beach is important, we know the lake is important, we know security in general is important. So we're doing our best. It's unfortunate. We're trying to, everybody's filling in. Al just volunteered to go down there this weekend. Maybe, I'm home tomorrow, working from home, but I didn't realize it was a problem during the week. But maybe we need to pop in and out of there, regardless if it's full or not. If there's people down there with no stickers, I guess we probably need to address that, because if they think they can get in on Monday, they probably think they can get in on Saturday, so. I promise you, these guys are gonna do their best, I will help out as I can.
In part, we are the tow truck company. They, Ed was having problems with them. They were down to just one employee, which is what they're still down to. So they really were, I'll say, saving their resources. They're out of Festus. I think they were probably saving their resources for, dare I say, bigger
bigger
budgets.
But
You know what I mean?
One thing that he would usually do was, after he went up the hill and made his rounds and down the boat ramp and made his rounds, he'd come back toward the beach area and he would tell people, hey, you got your car parked over here, I just put a tow sticker on it, tow truck's coming. The way people ran to move
Fear and
their
no
vehicles.
respect.
Yes,
There is
right
no-
now, I'm
there's
gonna
no
be honest
fear,
with you.
There's no respect.
People might miss that with us because I'm not making that effort. I'm just taking pictures of their sticker and their license plate and I'm sending them a fine. It's just the way it is. Right now, I don't, right, Chris? We don't have, I'm doing what I can. I'm more than happy to volunteer 60 to 80 hours a week and give it to Raintree. But I'm down there with my little recess whistle and I'm just filling out complete forms as best I can.
There was one day, there was a tow truck there. And the guy
Yeah.
was like, yeah, I'll get paid $50 an hour just to sit here and not do anything.
And there were vehicles that could have been towed at that point.
No, I was down there that whole day. There
were
wasn't
two-
one
there was
car
two
to
that day
tow.
down at the boat ramp with trailers, and the trailer didn't have a sticker, the truck did not have a sticker. There were two different ones that were down there.
I was down there literally until the tow truck left. I drove back and forth to that boat ramp and checked every one of them. Now, I will tell you, I did send letters to quite a few boat owners who put their stickers in the wrong place on their trailer.
Okay.
And I had already taken pictures of their license plate and their vehicle sticker, and I had sent it off to security, and I was just being a nosy Nelly, traipsing all around their stuff, and lo and behold, there they've got their sticker exactly where it does not belong, and I never saw it.
So that's where.
So it was,
That's
I
where
did
there's
a
been
couple
confusion on that.
boats, and I did those jet ski people.
Hey, Ray,
Because I didn't
what is your
know.
wife's name?
Sherry.
Sherry, and I didn't get your name,
Angela,
Angela.
What?
Angela.
Angela and Ray and Sherry Graff. John, you had a question, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I
Yes,
got
Andy.
no comments, basically, from what I've been hearing. Sorry I was late, so I don't know what happened during the regular call meeting. John Irvin from West Vista. First off, it seems to me like Ed was the man. But it also seems to me from what I mean, and I'm not a beach goer, I live on the lake, so we don't go to the beach very much. But I've gone there a few times and I've never seen anything bad. But I understand, and I drive by and kind of see what's going on. But it seems like Ed was the man, and what I know of Ed, he was the man. But it sounds like the man, or whoever the man is, can't do the job right now. So your last couple minutes of what you just said, of bringing in an actual security force, I think is the real solution to this. But this is the end of the year already, and I know there's really devoted people who really love this beach. Can't we reach out to them and ask them, will you throw on a security badge or a security something, and 2 or 3 of you at the same time go up to somebody and say, "Glass, it's not allowed," because what you're saying is Ed would go up to him, and those people would just pick up another beer and drink another glass of beer.
No,
right?
that
I
just
mean,
happened to us this weekend.
That
Because
happened
we
yesterday.
Hang on.
Oh, after Ed.
Let me get some names here so I know who.
Victoria Peachtree. And we went up to said individual, said, I'm sorry, but there is no glass allowed on the beach. Said individual then said, I am sorry, thank you, got out of the water, went and sat in her chair, opened up another bottle and went right back into the water. So where is we as property owners supposed to take this?
Right.
We can't ask for a name. She may or may not give us the real one. We can't really make her leave the beach. So we
Real
need
security
someone
force.
to instill
That's why
the respect.
I think my point is a real security force is what's needed, which Dave is heading towards. But we have to do something, I think, for the rest of this year maybe. We only got a month to go. So,
No, we're there in October.
Until
We'll
we
be
get
there in
the same
November.
sign.
If the sun's out at 75,
We're in the
we'll be
afternoon.
there.
The glass bottles are too cold to hold at that time.
Hey, Dave.
Okay, so yeah, I got a couple more points. Okay, So my other question is, last year we did pass the $50 assessment for everybody. Half of it was supposed to be security, half was maintenance. I know, I can quantify the maintenance thing, of all the equipment and everything that was bought. Security-wise, is there not a lump sum left of that you can bring in some second security right now, actual second shift officers or whatever, and bring them down for these next couple of weekends to show some force, and maybe that'll just cut it back a little bit? I mean, just.
Let me address that, the security,
Question?
the special assessment was for the security surrounding the gates and the cameras and whatnot. The security special assessment was for the physical equipment and software and whatnot. Ed was actually being paid out of a general payroll fund, so it wasn't affecting the security budget. I'll let Chris answer that, and Barb probably would need to emphasize that, but Adam is actually trying to put together a quote from a company to get us through the season. That's a long shot. I ain't
We
gonna.
have several calls out.
Okay, yeah.
I've got a call out for the security company also. We're both waiting on bids.
Yeah, so it's a long shot. I mean, first off, you won't get a realistic bid for somebody, hey, we need you for 3 weeks. But if you are here till November, maybe that's a different story. Hopefully we can do something like that. And I apologize to everybody for the way or what has happened. I mean, it's not something, again, there's never a good day to get rid of somebody. And you just don't ever prepare for that. And, had we had 3 or 4 security guards and getting rid of one is no big deal, but we just don't have that luxury right now. But we are doing our best. Chris and Adam are both looking at it. I've been down there minimally. When I've been down there, everybody's getting along. There's nobody having problems. They're loving the food trucks. Maybe I'm just going at the right times. I don't know, but I'm not afraid to tell somebody to take a glass out of there.
Well, more people know you than you think, and you're scaring them. I doubt it too. Okay, so I have another point. Go ahead.
I think Chris thought.
Yeah, Chris, go ahead.
I was gonna say that for the most part, it has been very controlled down there for the time that I've been spending down there. And I've only had to ask a couple of people to park elsewhere. And I only had, I guess, 2 actual run-ins with somebody that needed a little more explanation and was wanting to discuss it further. But all in all, it seems like everybody was doing the right thing and everybody was parking in the right places. It wasn't too bad at all.
John, you had something else?
One more thing, and it was something from the past. In the past, I've spoken to a board member here about the next door activity. Okay, and I still think it's a good idea, and I'm gonna say it one more time, is that I think the board should be on next door and they can answer the next door, but it should be a concerted answer so that every Tuesday or every Monday, somebody puts out a date, it's gotta really be you. You put out, this is what happened in the past week, this is the board stance on this. And not let all the board members say whatever they want to say, whenever they want to say it, and sometimes they contradict each other. I mean, next door is next door, no doubt about it, it's driving me freaking crazy. But I did appreciate you guys coming back on and saying something, but it needs to be an effort that's put together, and it needs to be answered in a directed way that this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. This is the board's response to those 4 things, and not just get all the going back and forth. And the rest of us, we can battle it out on next door all we want, but the board is going to take that all in, soak it in, and
That's
then
kind of
give
what
a
we do on
response.
Facebook. We make statements.
So Chris, John Irwin said that he's glad that we're back on Nextdoor, but that maybe every Monday or Tuesday we address the 3 or 4 or 100 topics that happened the previous week. And just a general statement of how, why, when, what, where, and then basic conversation of answering that. And I don't just.
Previously, just to point out, previously what we had done, and I think if we were posting something to Facebook and possibly sending out our emailer, that we can also make that note with no comments to I'm hoping that there's not something like that to discuss every week.
Yeah, I agree. We will do our best, John, to communicate. All I ask the board is if you open your trap, make sure you're speaking in facts.
It's just such a, even with all their parameters, and I think I'm pretty geeky and tech savvy, I still, every time I look at it, I'm like, God, and who in Jeffco can read this, even though I think I did everything right?
Yeah, that's the other thing. Somebody's
Yeah.
posted a couple videos and make sure you're posting
Yeah.
in Raintree.
Yeah.
I would like, you guys can tell everybody and they can see it on here or next door. But when people post things about ballot items or settlement agreements or the covenants, ask them to read them first. Because there's been somebody out there saying that the assessment increase is a forever tax.
Yes.
It isn't. It's an assessment increase that's needed for 5 years with a COLA attached if needed and warranted. It's not a tax, it's not, forever. There could be a board come in here in 10 years and say, we're getting rid of that whole thing. It's gotta be voted on, but they get rid of it. Anything that the people vote on is the way it is. And I know people were worked up about the ballot items. We removed 3 of them that had to do with boats and lakes and beaches, mostly because of the enforceability of it and the confusion of our covenants. But people were saying the board's not being transparent, we're not doing this and we're not doing that. By putting that out for a vote is being 100% transparent. I don't know how much more transparent we can be. We weren't trying to sneak something under you. If we did, if we wanted to do that, we would have made it a rule. We can make a rule anytime.
And just so that everybody knows, these ballots came from property owners. So
Yeah.
we're trying to listen. I mean, we've got property owners who want to ban wake boats. We got other property owners that don't.
So that's what gets so
we're trying
frustrating.
to figure out how do you put that together into a proper wording for a ballot and then run it through legal, and then it comes out and it still can be, it's not easy to do. So, but these are basically submitted by property owners. We don't just make them up.
Joe, you got a question?
Yeah, first thing I'd like to say is, these people on the golf carts, they provide a lot of security.
They do.
Especially in the later part of the day. And the second thing, you were talking about a sign for golf carts, put a sign up right by the steps, no glass, no fishing.
Chris,
Then
where are the
everybody-
no glass
Yeah,
signs?
That's a good idea.
Put it by
Right.
both, by the both stairways.
There
It
is.
is.
No
Big-
glass, no
Unless they
fishing.
secure the whole thing.
It's the big.
Then everybody can
6
enforce it, 'cause
Glass
everybody will
Beach
know.
rules, and the first item is no glass containers.
They see a huge.
People don't read that
list,
big.
they're not
It's about this big.
But again, like Joe's saying, it's a big
And it's
thing,
posted
all
on
the rules,
both
okay,
sides
yeah,
of the
whatever.
beach.
Nobody reads it.
Yeah.
And I'll be
You
honest
see-
with you,
you
as
see
soon as we
something
do
you
it,
can-
I'll get 6 complaints from people saying how tacky we've made the neighborhood by putting up too many signs and how we have no taste.
Yeah, but
Well-
it's better than glass that people get
It
fish.
is, but I am just telling you, as much as because I cringed earlier when I said, oh yeah, Barbara and I buy more signs, and I thought, oh my God, somebody's out
I
there
know,
right
I'm
now
saying.
writing out their complaint form, that crazy
Don't they
lady's
come
buying
down
more
to the
signs.
beach and talk to us?
Can you,
Just this past
Can you
weekend,
just
my
take
husband
that?
got
Yes.
candy and my kid.
I already wrote it down.
take that to
Both of
bar,
them, we're not
Yep.
that.
figure out a no glass,
I will, yeah.
And no fishing.
either that or somebody's
Because
making,
there were some kids the other day and they're fishing inside
I
the
know.
rope,
And you need to
standing
put
there
no
on the casting,
casting.
it's like,
But again, poor Ed, he would call me and he'd say, come down here and do something. And I'd go down, I'm like, children, who do you belong to? And they
and
would,
then there was another issue. the
they
night-
never waved with 5 fingers, I'll tell you that right now.
The night that the meteor shower,
Yeah.
that happened, there was a guy out on the boat
Yeah, right.
and he was over the swim rope in his boat.
Yep.
We sat there and started shining our flashlights
Mhm.
and he refused to respond when we're like, hey, you're over the buoys, hey, now you're over the rope, and you need to back up, and
And we
no,
couldn't see
nothing.
his number from the security cameras.
so let me ask you this, I mean, do we think it's just people new and not knowing, or do you think it's people just being ignorant?
Ignorant.
And that's what I was gonna
Ignorant.
say, the signs are not gonna matter.
No, they're
If
still.
she could have taken that
If
sign to
there
that
is-
woman and said no glass, and she would have still got the next one out. It's not the signs or lack of.
Yeah, but we can use it.
Well, Chris, as the POA and security, if somebody's on the beach with glass, how do we physically remove them? You or I or anybody?
Me and my recess whistle.
Throw it away. Gas
there were fines, some
Oh,
way
yeah.
to actually
There are,
fine
but we need to know who they are.
and
Yeah,
how,
that's what it
how
is.
can we,
It's
we
usually
can't
just,
take pictures?
But again, we have to know who the people are, and that's it, if I don't know who they are, I can't send the censure to them. We have censures for the glass bottles.
Why we sticker residents? We'll start.
There you go. Sticker resident, can everybody have to wear a name
So
tag?
real-
on the beach.
The real solution is what you're talking about, money for security.
Real
Once that's in place, that's gonna take care
And,
of it all.
and I say at every meeting, I need people to be good neighbors.
Right.
I need us to all be good neighbors.
your guests.
Stop being selfish and be good neighbors.
Well, I
We'll
mean,
have everybody, we could just have everybody check in at the beach and hand them a sign. There you go.
it's honestly, I mean, I'm 59 years old. What is people, why can't they police themselves? I mean, this is getting to be babysitting now. I mean, Ed did a great job, but Ed was probably doing more than he should have been doing.
He just was shy.
He shouldn't have had to do what he did.
Yes, he was.
I mean, I appreciate it, but what he did prevented these tow trucks from pulling cars out here. Maybe had he let that happen a couple times.
Well, I think what it was he,
You know,
I
hire
slowly
somebody
saw him
and tell
evolve
them
over
to
the
get
years,
bottles out of
and
people's
he
hands.
did what was actually
All we
becoming
can do is tell
necessary
them
to
the
do
rule
down
and
there,
ask their name
unfortunately.
and then write them up. Beyond that, we can't escort somebody out.
Yeah, I'm not kidding you. We got a stack of complaints from Ed that we're going through every day, every week. I will say, like they said, if it's just a picture and nobody knows who they are or tells us who they are, even if they tell us who they are, it's really tough. I mean, it's, somebody says, well, I want to get an appeal, I want to go in front of the panel, blah, blah, blah. It's their word against our word, and then if they don't want to show up and be anonymous, then the rules chairperson's got to kind of represent them based on how the conversations went. It's just not a perfect world, but believe me, we're trying to get, like I told John, we're trying to get a actual security company. Things may change drastically in September. That'll be one of the first things we look into is getting physical security in here. Obviously, the roads are a big deal. I don't want to sit up here and because Ed got fired that we want an assessment increase. That's not the case. Actually, this was in motion already. So regardless of what Ed did, he might have been part of that team, but we were actually working on getting physical security into this subdivision on a limited basis until we got the money to do it 12 months a year. And John, to your point, I don't, somebody wants to say something about a glass bottle walking in, I'm okay with that. But I don't want anybody to get in anybody's face or put badges on. It's just not, I don't care what you do, it's not a good fit. It's hard enough for us to do it, honestly.
I went down there just to pick up lunch one day, and someone ran to the golf cart and called me a word I haven't heard in 30 years. And said it loud and proud many, many times.
I'm sorry.
And I was just picking up my lunch. So, I mean, I'm doing everything I can down there. I know I am probably not well received, but I'm trying.
We'll do our best, that's all I can say, and hopefully something breaks loose for us. Something's gonna happen regardless, just because we can consolidate the security a little bit. We thought that was a good solution all year long, but honestly, I think we need to focus in on the beach, because that seems like where that's the most trouble.
And the boat
Boat launch.
I have another, the back gate back there, the outs, and people are driving down that thing. You got them on camera?
There's a short.
If we
I
know
ride my
when
motorcycle around, I see all kinds of
they,
crap
if we
like
know what
that.
time they did it, we can.
The camera typically faces the incoming, but the camera going out would get the tail.
Depending how fast it's going on those.
We know about the issue, there's
Yeah.
a short in the ground that we're working on getting, Chris is working on getting that fixed, but,
The tower cameras can read the license plates, but it's.
I
still-
almost did it on my motorcycle yesterday, I'm glad I did. But I did go
Somebody
around the
called me,
gate.
Told me.
And I drove our truck back and forth, back and forth, back and forth,
I
just
didn't get into the
waiting
roll.
trying to trigger that loop down there, and I know there's a short in it, but I thought, oh, our truck's big and heavy, and I thought, oh, it's gonna come down and I'm gonna knock the gate off. But it never came down. But it's, and again, in that same line, people were very concerned a couple weekends ago about the gate being up. And we do have a realtor Sunday where the gate is open for a period of a couple hours. So it's not like, Ed was gone on Saturday, and so we just raised the gates for all hell breakers.
It had been stuck open on Friday, the main one had been. It had been stuck open
Yes,
on
and-
Saturday,
It's
and then it was open
Yes.
for whatever it
Yeah.
was on
And that one's got
Sunday.
a gear problem because I was looking at that one too. But that one I couldn't do anything with either.
They've been beat to death so much and knocked off so many times, the whole thing shakes now when it opens and closes, so it's, I don't know how much longer it'll last.
Anybody else got anything?
I have one paper.
All right, well, I appreciate, we had a new crowd up here tonight, I appreciate you guys showing up, hopefully we can help out where we can, and honest to God, I've asked these guys to help out where we can, and security, and
Yes, thank everybody for their input. I appreciate the feedback. We're trying to do the best we can.
if you got any ideas, feel free to bring them to us, especially with the security, if you got any suggestions, or anybody's looking for a part-time job, I mean, again, then you're kind of pitting a property owner against property owners, but, I mean, at some point, sometimes that seemed like a property owner.
And maintenance too, we're looking for a part-time maintenance person still, right?
Yeah, we still are looking for.
Full-time maintenance person.
I mean, I about had a heart attack when I seen 1650 out there, I almost lost 3 guys.
That was me, I was like, we gotta put $1 on it. Sorry, chief. And an email.
Thanks, folks, for coming, I